All right, we're here on part 3 of Lonnie's sled. And the first thing we're going to do in part 3 is get those control arms, shocks. We're going to change the whole front suspension out for those parts that you saw us pull in the previous episode. So I guess we'll get after that. First obstacle is these radius rods, and we got this bracket here that's kind of bashed in. You couldn't even possibly get a wrench on the nut in there on the radius rods. So I think we're going to just drill these pop rivets out. We'll rivet it back later and bend it down so we can get to those radius rod bolts. Here, hold up against this thing. Yeah. That's through.
Now, I think we were able to get in there with a...
Yeah, we can get in there with a wrench now. And then we'll just bang that thing back into shape before we reinstall it.
Yep.
All right, we got Lonnie and Dennis over here midstream on the front suspension.
Whew, it's better than the other midstream.
Certainly helps to have two guys on this. One on each side, so that one guy can hold the wrench and the other one can reach into that channel there and get the nuts out. So that's what's going on. Dennis is down. There's a channel on both sides on these indies, so really be pretty tough to do this by yourself. It's a shock.
This is fantastic. Without that, it's almost impossible to get that top shock bolt out without tearing the whole pan off.
$1 swap meet wrench.
There you go. This thing is awesome.
All right.
I think we're ready.
Show the people. There we go. You do your homework.
That's how
right?
it's done.
Take off a whole corner at once. That's just a sway bar bushing that fell off. We're good.
Yep.
Here's Lonnie with this fancy new trailing arm with an actual purple decal on it.
Yeah.
All right, here's the scare we had this morning. So I went out and looked at Dennis's sled, which is a 95 XLT Extra Special. That's got an extra 12 on it with the white Fox shocks. And I looked and I noticed that the arms came all the way back to here. And I kind of had a little nightmare and thought maybe these arms we pulled for Lonnie were extra 12 arms.
You know what, though?
But luckily, as you can see, they're not. Ran out with a tape measure. We confirmed everything's good.
No,
And looks like 10 and extra 10 and 8-inch arms are just the same.
Half-inch.
All right, the shop smells like fiberglass for some reason tonight when we're working on Lonnie's sled. Probably because we just did fiberglass work. There's Lonnie and Dennis over there. And we got to get this fiberglass smell out of the shop. So, cross country.
Much better. We like that smell.
Smells like that new Polaris vintage 2-stroke oil.
Sure does.
Dennis is wandering around my shop and he finds this shattered throttle block that says pack a spare on it. It's for the old school. It's for the 81 and older, and they break all the time. And I'm serious. Bring a spare. If you're riding your 78 TXL, bring a spare. I actually had a spare the day that thing broke and used my buddy's Leatherman to file the original factory rivet out. And there you go. It worked. We put it back together, and I'm still driving. But now that I've used my spare, I put another spare in the tool bag.
And now I have a spare in my 80TX.
You gotta. They're garbage. The factory ones are brittle.
Well, I think everything's brittle
After 50
years.
Yeah. All right, we had a little incident there. One of the radius rods was like off at a weird angle, and we couldn't get it to move, and then the bolt head broke off, and then we had to cut the nut off the sleeve, and the bolt seized into the sleeve, so I had to go to the lathe to make a new part because it was easier to make a new part than it was to fix the old part. Well, here we are. We got one side all together. Dennis is balancing the sled. Lonnie's over there saying cuss words. But everything's together on this left-hand side.
Right
We
here.
got our shock. And is it the right side? I don't know what time of day it is right now. But there we are. Now we're going to flip the sled and do the other front side of the front suspension. Well, now that we're flipped over for side 2, look at that. I'm not at all sad that we're replacing that trailing arm. That's rusted through. And as we mentioned in the pressure wash video, that's a daylight ski there, because you can see daylight through it. But we need the light in here. The camera's great, but it's the light that helps. Okay.
Sometimes you just need some leverage.
I'm not even
not
prying
even
on it. See what I'm talking about?
You're still not prying on it.
I know. Not even on.
No, you're not. You're just.
I'm on it. I'm on it now.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not. I'm on
Not
a, what
even
the hell
close.
am I even on? Oh, I'm on a weld down there. Caught on an old weld. All right. Out.
And that's how you remove a shock bolt.
Well, that was fun. So we got a pop rivet in a piece here, but I'm going to take the grinder quick and get that big nasty burr off of that.
Yeah, the sway bar link.
Yeah, and then we'll pop rivet in this. This is the bushing that goes there that I took off a park sled.
Yeah.
More fun. It's always fun.
See you in a bit.
So there's that sway bar bushing. We actually had it drilled out to 11/16 to get it to fit, and those are the rivets I had that were the right size and length. And Dennis says this is a full resto now. Trailing arm into your radius rod things. This takes 2 people. There's no 2 ways about it. Dennis is down knuckle deep in a channel, and so is Lonnie. Way down in there. Absolutely 2-man job kind of territory here. All right, so I worked on this thing yesterday. Oh, Farley is excited. Lonnie just got here. So I worked on this thing yesterday, and we had a bit of an issue. If you look, the bolts aren't long enough on this, and the heim joint is different. On these old ones, you can see that like there's taller shoulders on it. So I thought, oh, we'll just put the old radius rods on. But no, that doesn't work either. As you can see, this front end's wider. Well, we like the wider front end for Lonnie. There's absolutely no drawbacks to this, so we're going to run the wider front end. That's probably got more travel. That's why it's got those shoulders on the heim joint. So what I ended up doing yesterday was going out to the donor sled and grabbing all those bolts. So that's the start of today's adventure. We're going to swap out all 4 of these bolts for the proper length so that the threads will stick through. And I don't know, we'll just keep going from there. But that's the first thing we're going to do today.
All right. So
Lonnie's trying to get that lined up, and you can see with the sled sitting this way,
I can't line that
it
up.
ain't even close, but we got it on we got it hanging from the I-beam. So yeah,
Lift it up a little bit.
Lonnie can lift it up. It's pretty light. It's pretty well balanced how we got it hanging, and there we go. Right through.
Just like that.
Good work. All right, well, we're just giving a quick camber check here, and looking at it, this front end is 4 inches wider than the stock XLT front end. This is the XLT SP width front end. It's basically an extra 10 front end. I like it. I don't see any drawbacks to this at all. Looks good. We're going to lock her down and finish up this front end. All right, that's a well-deserved beer for a hard-fought battle. This front end upgrade's been a bitch, but it's a worthy upgrade. It's 4 inches wider than stock. It's got 2 inches more travel than stock. I don't know. What do you think, Lonnie?
Yeah, this is going to be real nice. I'm excited to get this thing on the trail. Even a little ditch banging with this, but yeah, that wider stance, more travel. It's going to be. She's going to ride like a Cadillac, man.
Yep, and we went through all the bushings, all the spherical bearings. Everything's good on it. So
yeah, we got everything aligned. We checked our toe. Yeah, everything's looking really good.
Yep, the old suspension was basically trash, so it was worth doing.
Yes, it was. A lot of work, Bill.
A lot of work.
Let's move on.
Yep. All right, I just want to explain what's going on in this next segment. So we're pressing the drivers off, flip them over, and pressing them back on. And the reason we're doing that is they get really worn on the drive side, especially in higher mileage sleds. But on the coast side, or some people might call it the braking side, they see very little wear. So they're basically brand new on the other side. So we just flip them around, and you get a whole new life of your drivers without spending any money, just a little sweat equity in pressing them off and putting them back on. So that's what we're going to be doing here. Here we are at the press. It's not super interesting. We've already knocked them all off. We're putting them on. The nice thing is there's some nice witness marks on there. So we just press it to depth on each one, line up with the old witness marks. Good to go. So we can see the witness marks really good, but we just always want to check. And so we got this old piece of track, and we're just making sure the width is right on all of these, and it sure looks good. Yeah. There should be a little bit of side play, and it is. And we know it's centered up because, well, it's a used drive shaft with the witness marks. If not, we'd whip out the service manual, get all the measurements. That's all there. It's pretty easy to find that information. But
well,
we're right on.
Yeah, we nailed it.
We're right on. It's good. All right, that's the end of part 3 on Lonnie's XLT. If you're enjoying these videos, please help me grow the channel by subscribing and liking the video and leaving a comment. Really trying hard to put out good content for you guys, and I hope you're enjoying it. And I just want to say thanks for watching.